Welcome back, everyone. And today's lesson is on parallel structure. This is really going to help improve the quality of your sentences by keeping the choices that you make in your nouns, your phrases, your sentences consistent with one another. So let's get started. So what is parallel structure? Well, you might think of it like parallel lines, that once you've made a decision to go in a certain direction or use a certain type of something, you're consistent with that choice. And if you create, say you throw a non-parallel line into parallel lines, you kind of mess up the pattern. So let's take a sentence. Let's say my professor is knowledgeable, fair, and always on time. Well, notice the choices that we've made here. Knowledgeable is an adjective, fair is an adjective, but then always on time is a phrase. It's not an adjective. So at the word level, we're not being parallel. You might look at this as the parallel line knowledgeable, the parallel line fair, and then always on time being this line that kind of goes off in a different direction. Well, there is another adjective that has the meaning of being always on time, and that is punctual. So my professor is knowledgeable, fair, and punctual is considered a sentence with good parallel structure. Let's take another one. For good health, it is important to exercise, think positively, and eating well. Well, you can notice what's not in parallel structure. We have a series of infinitive verbs: to exercise, to think positively, but then we have this gerund, this ing here, and it's not in parallel structure. So we want to improve the sentence by having everything be an infinitive verb. So for good health, it is important to exercise, think positively, and eat well. And as you probably already know, once you have used the particle to for the infinitive, you don't repeat to after that. That's why we don't have to before think and to before eat. Okay. Well, let's look at parallelism at more than just the single word level. How about my brother is not going to buy the old house? Okay. And you also have the thought or the sentence, my sister is not going to buy the old house. So in this case, you have two people, and not one of those people is going to buy this old house. Well, one way to put these two sentences in a parallel structure in one complex sentence is to write, neither my brother nor sister is going to buy the old house. The other case could be, mice are making noise in the attic. A ghost is making noise in the attic. Well, in this case, we could have an either or construction. So we don't know which it is. It could be either one. And that sentence could be either mice or a ghost is making noise in the attic. Well, let's go back to sentence number 3. Notice that we have a negative action that we are referring to for my brother and a negative action that we are referring to for my sister. But both actions relate to the same action, and that is buying the house. Now, it's good to remember this term. It's called correlation. So what do we have that is correlated? Well, we have my brother and my sister. Those are the parallel items that we're talking about here. And when you have correlations, those are the elements that are going to be in parallel structure. And in this case, we are using neither nor as our conjunction. They're also called correlative conjunctions, right? You don't want to put neither nor anywhere else in this sentence. For instance, you would not want to say my brother, neither my sister. No, you would not want to put it there. You would not want to say my brother nor sister is going to buy the house. You want to put the neither nor before the items that are in parallel structure. And same with number 4. We have 2 subjects we're looking at, but only one possible action. One subject is mice, the other subject is a ghost. We don't know which is making the noise in the attic. So again, we have one possible action, but 2 possible subjects. So we would say that the mice and a ghost are in parallel structure. Okay, so we would put either before mice or a ghost is making the noise in the attic. Okay, now here's an important lesson, that when you have a combination of plural and singular nouns in correlation, the main verb of the sentence is going to agree with the noun that is closest to it. So that is why we don't have are making noise in the attic. We are not adding mice to a ghost. If we had reversed this and said either a ghost or mice, then we would put are here, and the sentence would sound like either a ghost or mice are making noise in the attic. Well, let's look at something in a much longer version of parallelism. Here is a passage from Charles Dickens's Old Curiosity Shop. And what's interesting, I will read this to you and see if you can determine where the parallelism is. This is called parallelism at the discourse level. It's not just a word, it's not just a phrase or a sentence. It's really just 3 short passages that are referring to people's perceptions of going across a bridge. Then the crowds, forever passing and repassing on the bridges, where many stop on fine evenings looking listlessly down upon the water, with some vague idea that by and by it runs between green banks, which grow wider and wider until at last it joins the broad vast sea, where some halt to rest from heavy loads and think as they look over the parapet that to smoke and lounge away one's life and lie sleeping in the sun upon a hard tarpaulin in a dull, slow, sluggish barge must be happiness unalloyed, and where some, in a very different class, pause with heavier loads than they, remembering to have heard or read in some old time that drowning was not a hard death, but of all means of suicide the easiest and best. Now, I'm not here to depress you. It's a very powerful section of this novel. And if you can see from punctuation where the parallel items begin and end. For instance, where you see the M dash here, these long dashes, okay, or hyphens. And notice that the first part up here, starting with then and ending at vast sea, is talking about one perception of going across the bridge and what some people of a certain class would think about travel, about going beyond the bridge. And then we start with where and go to unalloyed. These are more of your workers thinking of, wow, must be nice to be able to just relax in the sun and just be at ease and not have to worry about working very hard every single day. They're looking at things from a much more, you might say, middle class or just more of a worker's perspective. And then the very last section here is seen more from the point of view of people who are in a very desperate situation, whose lives are very, very hard, and where the idea of maybe just dying and getting it over with probably is not a bad option. It's a very, very sensitive passage. But what's in parallel is we are looking at 3 groups of people, and they are all doing the same thing. They are all ruminating or thinking about, getting impressions from being on the bridge. That's what makes it parallel. Dickens is famous for parallel structure. This is considered parallel structure at a discourse level, or the level of passages, not just a word or a phrase. Let's look at a couple more examples. The store does not sell the shirt that I want. Okay. And the store does not sell the pants that I want. Well, we can see here that we have one possible subject, not two. We have one subject, and that is the store. But we have two objects here. We have two things that the store does not sell. So we're not going to put neither nor before the store, because the store is not in correlation with anything. What's in correlation is the shirt and the pants, because those are the two items the store does not have. So the sentence would look like this. The store, our subject, sells, we're going to use the positive verb here because the negative comes from neither and nor. So the store sells neither, now we're into our correlations, the shirt nor the pants that I want. You don't want to repeat the store, you don't want to repeat sell, the verb, and you don't want to repeat that I want, which is an adjective clause. This kind of writing is much easier for readers to comprehend. It's very organized. It gets the subject out of the way. It tells us that we're talking about selling, but the neither and the nor let us know that they're not available, that they're actually not selling them. And then it makes us very clear what is in correlation. Let's do another. The car offers great gas efficiency. The car has a very good safety rating. Well, we're going to use the form not only but also here. It's not the only way you could do this, but we're going to use that kind of correlative conjunction here. We've used neither nor and either or so far, so we're going to use not only but also here. But again, we want to keep the same ideas. We have one subject here, the car, but we have two different verb phrases. We have offers great gas efficiency and has a very good safety rating. Okay, so the way to write that would be the car not only offers great gas efficiency, comma, but also has a very good safety rating. And the comma here is considered a fairly standard construction. Some editors, some situations might leave it out to save space, but it is correct to put the comma here. So we can see that you want to make sure when you're doing your compositions or revising your compositions, and do I have two subjects with one possible action or predicate, or do I have one subject with two possible actions or predicates? Because wherever there are two of something, two or more I should say, that is what it's going to be in correlation. You don't want to repeat things that are only one of, like for instance number 5, I don't want to repeat the store. And in number 6, I don't want to repeat the store. So this is kind of a nice little introduction to parallel structure, kind of why it exists, how to consider it both at the word level and at the sentence level and even the discourse level. So again, I thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a very, very good day.